Good evening, everybody. What is it, Monday? Yeah, good Monday evening. Great to see y'all. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear, and hopefully we will have a good night here. Probably going to talk about a lot of things, a lot of southern snow chances, some East Coast snow chances, and I think someone's really going to get it good. A couple places I'm watching for double-digit snowfall totals. I'll let you know where that is during the video. But again, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. And we'll get things going here in just a moment. Also, I will ask if you haven't already, go ahead and like the stream, subscribe if you haven't, and hit the bell for the latest notifications. This goes for whether you're watching it live or if you're watching it after the fact. Either way helps it reach more people so we can get the word out about this winter storm on the way. And kind of get folks prepared, because I do think some people are really going to get quite the storm out of this one, probably the biggest of the winter in portions of the Mid-Atlantic. And again, we'll talk about that here in just a moment. Also, do want to say thank you to our supporters for joining us. And if you would like to become a supporter, then you can go ahead and hit that join button next to the subscribe button. Alrighty, so again, we're going to give it a couple minutes for everyone to filter in, give time for those notifications to filter out to everybody. But what you're looking at next to me while we're waiting, this is the latest run of our NAM model. Just came out not too long ago and showing higher end snow potential than it did this morning. So exciting news for all of our snow lovers. All right, got a lot of folks watching from North Carolina. For those of you who don't know, I'm recording from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a meteorology student actually at UNC Charlotte, so it's a little bit about me if you're new to the channel. Folks watching from Virginia, a lot of North Carolina, Virginia. Got some Bostons in here. Pikeville, North Carolina, Virginia Beach. Someone from Georgia, looks like. Clemens, North Carolina. Looks like y'all can hear me loud and clear. East Tennessee. Raleigh, watching from Raleigh. Watching from Baltimore. Philadelphia, PA. Mount Vernon, Kentucky. Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We've got a couple Kentuckys in here. Got some Ohio in the chat. Richmond, Virginia. Go Niners, Julie. Thanks for tuning in. Outer Banks. Seneca, South Carolina, not far from my hometown of Pickens, South Carolina, right there in the upstate. Going to see some snow out of this one, I think, in that area. Probably less so than other parts of the Carolinas, but definitely at least a little bit of snow, I think, out in that vicinity. Yeah, so a lot of North Carolina. So tonight we are going to talk about the Carolinas. We're also going to talk about Oklahoma, Kansas, into Missouri, Arkansas. If you're watching from the plains, let me know, because the storm really about to get cranking for you here soon. And folks in Missouri, going to see double-digit snowfall, I think. I got someone watching from Pelzer, South Carolina, a couple folks in the upstate back along the I-85 corridor, Laurinburg, North Carolina. Also, what I'm going to talk about tonight is future plans for this week. I'm going to probably chase this thing. If Charlotte kind of stays on the lower end impacts of the storm, or even if it's just, kind of in the middle range impacts, I'm probably going to look it up 85 and try to chase some blizzard-like conditions. I'm still a firm believer we're going to get at least blizzard-like conditions out of this. I'll tell you where that could be later on in the live stream, so you never know. Maybe I'll mention your hometown. You might see me standing out there in the street screaming at the snow. Wouldn't be the first time that I'd done that before, so... I got some folks watching from Long Island. I will go ahead and mention also here while we're waiting, got about 400 folks in here now, so starting to get some bigger numbers. We'll start talking in just a moment. Folks in the Northeast, I know you're hurt. Your feelings are hurt from this storm. A couple days ago, showed a massive nor'easter, and now, not so much. So a couple things to note with that. One, to be fair, I did tell you in the videos that this could shift either way, and unfortunately it shifted in a way that's not so great for snow lovers up there. I will also add that I was a firm believer that this one would curl up the coast, and I still think it will. I'm still a firm believer portions of coastal New Jersey are going to get some good snow out of this. You can see that on the NAM here. You can kind of see that band of snow getting up into New Jersey. I think potentially portions of Long Island, maybe the kind of Nantucket area could get some snow out of this. Just not looking as big of an I-95 event, but I still think portions of the Delmarva and into kind of southern New Jersey there could get accumulating snow out of this event. So do not completely lose hope. I know it sucks. This was a big storm for you a couple days ago in the models. Now, not so much. But yeah, we're going to make it through it. It's February 17th. March produces nor'easters. Maybe we'll get you one. If not, there's plenty of winters to come. But no need to take your anger out on any specific person. We're all just trying to forecast the same thing here in our own ways. So we'll get through it. Michael says, I don't understand what's causing the dry slot between the rain and the snow that goes right over Memphis. Yeah, we'll talk about some of the reasons we're going to have some dry slots. Another dry slot in the Carolinas looking likely out of this storm. We're going to break down the upper level dynamics on why that is. Right before we do that, again, if you haven't already and you're just joining the stream, go ahead, like it, comment, let me know where you're watching from, subscribe to the channel, folks. We're getting close to 40,000. It was only a couple weeks ago we were talking about 30,000, now 40,000 knocking on the door. Just crazy exciting times for the channel. So if you want to help us get there and you haven't already hit subscribe, definitely do so. But with that said, let's start talking some meteorology here. So keep the questions coming, keep the comments coming, we'll have a good time tonight. I'm also going to be checking my phone because I have a couple of things I'm going to kind of be doing on my phone involving the stream at the same time. All right, also, I should have a moderator in here. Rowan, if you're moderating, type something in the chat. Rowan's going to be kind of answering some of your questions as well. He is a friend of mine who I go to school with at UNC Charlotte. So everyone say hello to Rowan in the chat and thank him for joining us and doing some moderating. I can get kind of busy whenever we've got this many people, so it's hard for me to answer questions and moderate and do all sorts of things. So definitely say hello to Rowan in the chat and we'll go ahead and get started. So like I said, this is the latest NAM model. This ran not too long ago. This was right around this afternoon while I was sitting in mesoscale meteorology. By the way, today I got to learn about buoyancy in the atmosphere, and out of all the days, this was the one day I did not care about thunderstorms and buoyancy. I would much rather have been looking at snow models, but it's all right. And whenever you're a meteorology student, you kind of got to go with whatever the teacher throws at you. And today was thunderstorms, so is what it is. But NAM showing the storm well, I think. Big impacts into Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, and then other big impacts up into Virginia, North Carolina, and potentially even parts of South Carolina. But really, North Carolina, Virginia going to be the big one out of this. I got a super chat from Patricia. By the way, if anyone has a question and you absolutely want to answered, go ahead, send a super chat. It'll pop up on my screen first and foremost, so I'll see it. I'll still try to answer all the other questions I can, but those are the ones that pop up in big, bold kind of letters and stuff. Also, to all of our members, go ahead and type something in the chat. Everyone can see that fun little blue kind of symbol next to the members, and go ahead and put an emoji down there too. Members get emojis, kind of some fun ones that I came up with. So excited about that. Let's talk a little bit about right now, because obviously the storm getting going pretty soon here back into Kansas, into Missouri, portions of Nebraska seeing some snow. Up here to the north, you're going to see this big spin. It's right on the side of your screen up here. This is our weekend storm, and basically what it's doing is pulling down a ton of Arctic air from the north, wrapping it around behind the storm, and that's setting up a corridor of Arctic air over the east. That's the Arctic air that's going to fuel this winter storm and bring some pretty big snow and ice totals for some of us, again, depending on where you're watching from. Now, at the same time, our kind of Pacific branch of the jet stream here getting a little more active. We've got some of that shortwave energy working over the Rockies right now, already kind of getting into the plains. And here soon enough, we'll start to see some pretty good snow begin to build in over the central part of the country. Nathaniel the Nerd, exclamation point, I will add, says, I was curious about Lincolnton, North Carolina. Lincolnton in the Charlotte area, for anyone who's wondering, I think Lincolnton will get some winter weather. Now, the Carolinas, I can divide it in two ways. You've got I-77 east and I-77 west. I think that's going to be the two easiest ways to discuss this storm. I do think there's going to be a dry slot kind of west of 77, Gastonia, Hickory, back out towards Shelby. Going to probably see lesser totals in areas in eastern North Carolina, and we'll get there in a moment, but I'll tell you, I think portions of northeastern North Carolina could get blizzard-like conditions out of this storm. Not to say that it'll be a blizzard warning. I don't anticipate that, but you'll at least get a moment of blizzard-like conditions. Whiteout, heavy snow, blowing wind, and we'll talk about why that is. But a lot of folks tuning in here tonight. We've got some a lot from North Carolina. We're going to get to North Carolina, folks. Don't worry. That is on the docket tonight. So we're going to get there. All right, let's take a look at current radar imagery. We've got some of that snow breaking out. I told you that energy's starting to work in. We've got snow in northern Kansas, southern Nebraska, back into southern Iowa, and then out towards the St. Louis area, seeing some of that snow begin to fall. Also, plenty of lake effect snow. If you're watching up here near the Tug Hill, we've got a very heavy band. This is an intense band of snow back out towards Williamstown, Lewis, Redfield, Richland, back out towards Boonville, White Lake, New York. Again, this kind of in the just south of Watertown and right here in the upstate. So seeing a lot of that lake effect snow, even back down south of Buffalo near Dunkirk, New York. Bryant, Eden, and Forestville getting heavy snow right now. So not the only folks seeing snow into the Central Plains, seeing plenty of them back out into the Northeast as well. All right, see, got a lot of questions coming in, folks. So again, I apologize. I can't answer them all. They're coming in quickly, so I'll try to answer some of them. Like I said, a lot of folks watching from North Carolina, Virginia. We're going to get to North Carolina and Virginia. Don't worry. We're going to break it down for you. I got a lot of viewers in there who are excited about this one, myself included. But we will get there. All right, so also kind of zooming out a little bit more, looking out into the Rockies, everything you see back out here, that's associated with our storm energy, the storm that's going to get created here out of that upper level lift that we have ongoing in those upper level dynamics, all of it working in tandem here and eventually going to scoot far enough east that you can kind of see the storm really begin to develop at the surface on some of our surface maps by tomorrow morning's video when you tune in. I think you're going to be able to see it pretty well. Another thing hot off the press here, newly issued winter storm watches and winter storm warnings today. So here's our alert map. Everyone go ahead, try to find your county on here. It's going to be useful. And if you don't know where your county is, maybe look it up real quick on Google or something. But a big swath of winter storm warnings from Kentucky into southern Missouri, into Kansas, back into northern Oklahoma, Arkansas, Memphis included in winter storm warnings. Nashville, I think right on the line here of winter storm warning and winter weather advisory. I think in the warning though. So you can see all of those alerts beginning to pop up on the map. Also, newly issued winter storm watches in eastern North Carolina. This includes Greensboro, Raleigh, Fayetteville, up into southeastern Virginia and the Delmarva, southern Delaware in a winter storm watch, back out towards Elizabeth City into the Outer Banks. Could see some pretty big time winter weather out of this event. So these are some new ones going on or just being issued recently. So definitely filling in on the map here. All right, again, getting a lot of questions, folks, so I'll try to answer some of them. Any ice for Pickens this week? I think Pickens, South Carolina, that's my hometown for anyone wondering. Going to see a little bit of snow. I think ice a little bit less likely. Lower end impacts into the upstate compared to North Carolina. I think North Carolina is going to be a bigger winner out of this than upstate South Carolina, but I do expect some winter weather on the I-85 corridor there in the upstate. Probably more of a minor event for you folks, though, compared to other areas. All right, we got a lot of folks in here. We're up to about 860 or so. So again, if you haven't already, go ahead, like the stream, subscribe, hit the bell for the latest notifications, folks. We got a busy year ahead of us. We're going to continue to keep tracking these things. We got this storm going on. I'll be here for severe weather season. I'll be here for hurricane season. I got you covered year round. So not just a winter weather channel, we do it all. And we do these lives pretty often as well to keep you folks up to date with the latest model guidance as it kind of rolls on in. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some model data now and kind of break this down region by region. So starting in the south central plains, this is kind of what we're seeing right now. I showed you radar earlier. We've got that snow beginning to fall into Missouri, Kansas, definitely beginning to bring some of those impacts that way, but it's really going later into this evening and overnight tonight. This is tomorrow morning. Notice this storm really beginning to blossom. Bit of an icy mess in Oklahoma City. We've got snow through Kansas, Missouri, really much of the central plains here, seeing some of that snow begin to fall by this point in time. And it's going to pile up to some pretty good totals, folks. Again, I would not be surprised to see double-digit snowfall in portions of Missouri and potentially even Kansas. You can see why that is. Let's move it ahead into time. By the way, I'll add, this is our latest high-resolution rapid refresh model showing that heavy band of snow and trending a little bit further south today. Now getting areas of northern Oklahoma a little bit more in on the snowy side compared to the icy side, kind of that circle on your map. That's where we're watching for the highest snowfall potential. I'll show you the blend of models and I will show you the National Weather Service forecast here in just a moment. But big snow on the way. Ice, though, down into Little Rock, Oklahoma City. Keep on moving it ahead. This is by tomorrow afternoon and evening. A heavy band of snow continuing into southern Missouri, northern Arkansas. Like I said, shifted south a little bit from this morning's guidance. So a little snowier in Arkansas. Icy mess there in Little Rock. Ice and snow kind of mix, I think, in Memphis. Keep on moving it ahead. You can see all of that pushing eastbound. And somebody had a question about a dry slot in Memphis. Well, I think really not so much. Now, you'll get less precip than to your north. The main reason for that is we've just got a boundary up here that's leading to some convergence at the surface. Also a little bit of upper level support. We're getting more snow up that way, but I still think a good, solid thumping for a couple of hours of frozen precip in Memphis. You can see that here. This is into overnight tomorrow into Wednesday, probably starting as some ice, maybe sleet, freezing rain, transitioning to snow on the backside though. Even northern Mississippi could get in on some of that snowy, icy action by the time we keep on going on into the early morning hours of Wednesday, and then beginning to trail off to the east towards the Carolinas by Wednesday morning and afternoon. That's the HRRR model. I do want to quickly show you the NAM as well. Kind of the same thing, but I'll show it to you anyway. Same idea, folks. Tick south this afternoon on the snow line. So this is good news for snow lovers in Oklahoma, into the Ozarks of Arkansas, into Missouri. Good news for y'all. I think this is looking a lot colder and snowier than maybe it did just a little while ago. Also just passed 1,000 viewers. So again, thank you everyone for coming in. Appreciate y'all joining me on this Monday evening. Gonna break it all down for you. Don't worry. We're gonna get to all the questions. We're gonna answer as much as we can as we keep on through the live stream here. You can see though that heavy snow back into portions of Oklahoma, Arkansas, southern Missouri, southern Kansas, and you keep on moving ahead, and still kind of icy, very similar to the high resolution rapid refresh. So this tells me as a forecaster, we've got pretty solid confidence ongoing in this region for a pretty big winter storm. Now, we had the big one back in early January. You'll remember that. Little Rock got nearly a foot of snow. This one probably not as big of a deal. Northern Arkansas, though, up towards the Ozarks, double-digit snowfall not out of the question. Would not completely surprise me to see that up in that region. So, again, do not be surprised to see double-digit snowfall getting a little bit further south with this latest model guidance, and then kind of similar to the HRRR, gets that snow, freezing rain, sleet kind of mess there in Memphis, and then back out towards Nashville eventually. We'll move the map east in just a second. Before we do, though, let's take a look at some of the accumulations, starting with ice. Obviously, everyone wants to talk about snow. I love to talk about snow. You love to talk about snow. Ice will be a concern with this event. This is the latest HRRR model, same one I showed you on ice accretion, and showing pretty big totals into central Arkansas. I think 1/4 of an inch of ice not out of the question. That's enough to make travel basically impossible, bring down a couple power lines and trees. But definitely going to be a bit of an icy concern there in the central part of the state. Even back towards Memphis, probably starting as ice, transitioning over to snow. Oklahoma City could see some ice and snow. I think a lot of these areas going to start as ice, then snow as that cold air wraps around the low pressure. Going to be a pretty common kind of chain of events with this storm system. This model, not the only one showing it. Let's take a look at the NAM. NAM also showing that ice lesser extents and a little bit further south on the NAM. Will be interesting to see which one is right. You look at the blend, which kind of blends all the models. Again, shows that same bullseye, I think, over central Arkansas, specifically closer towards the Oklahoma state line. Could see a good little ice event. Not a major crippling ice storm, but enough that it is definitely going to be worth mentioning. And that leads us into snowfall totals. Let's start by looking at the latest blend of models. So this is our NBM. This is the mean, or this is the 50th percentile technically. So takes all of these ensemble members and all these other models, and it finds what is kind of the center of the solution. So you've got the lowest half on this side, the highest half totals on this side. What's in the center? This is the center kind of most likely scenario, I guess, if you will, on some of the models, and showing that double-digit snowfall potential. Pittsburgh, Kansas, back down towards Springfield, Missouri, Joplin, Missouri, going to be in the bullseye here, back down towards Miami, Oklahoma. Bartlesville, I think, could get some good snow out of this. And if I zoom out a little bit, check out northern Arkansas, getting in towards half a foot of snow on some of the latest model guidance. Tulsa in that 4, 5, 6 inch range. And then the gradient gets pretty tight down here towards Arkansas, from Little Rock to Oklahoma City back to Memphis. That's going to be the corridor to watch for kind of the toughest forecast with this one. Any small shift south would bring more snow. Any small shift north would bring more ice. So definitely kind of the toughest part of these forecasts. But right now, looks like a 1 to 3 inch kind of messy event in those regions out of this one, from Oklahoma City to Little Rock, Fort Smith included in that, and Memphis. I will show you, this is the forecast from the actual National Weather Service. That's just the models they use. What are they coming up with from that data? Showing a foot of snow as their official forecast here, back down towards Springfield and Joplin, Missouri. So go ahead, take that into account. St. Louis on the northern periphery of this storm, going to be right around, I'd say, 4 to 6 inches. Same problem there, though. Any small shifts south, you can really lose some of those higher end totals, but any small shifts northward, and you're in that almost 10 inch range. So tough forecast there as well. But definitely looking pretty snowy nonetheless. All right, let's see what we've got going on in the chat. Again, a lot of comments right now, so it's hard for me to keep up. But there's a lot of folks watching from North Carolina and Virginia. Looks like that's the next topic. We're gonna get there right now. In fact, just to prove it to you, here's our next map. So we're gonna get there next up on the list. Let me move the map down so it's properly where it should be. There we go. Sorry, a couple kind of funny comments in here. A couple people watching from Pickens. I think Pickens will definitely get some, get at least a little bit of winter weather out of this. Probably not a big storm for you, but at least something out of it. Denise Tucker says 1,000 fans. Yeah, something like that. We got 1,200 in here. So again, folks, if you haven't already and you're just joining us, go ahead, like the stream. More people will find it. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell for the latest notifications. Get in so close to 40,000. Help us get there. We would love for you to kind of join the team here by being a member on the channel and a subscriber and whatever you want to call yourself. Very, very grateful to have y'all in here tonight. Mara Lewis says West Plains, Missouri, 7 inches, question mark. Let's take a look where West Plains, Missouri is, and I can try to get that answer for you. All right, West Plains, Missouri, for anyone who's wondering, and myself included. That's southern Missouri. So yeah, I think 7 inches pretty likely there. In fact, maybe a little bit more in West Plains, kind of right in the hot spot on this storm. So you lucked out with this one if you're a snow lover. All right, and again, folks, if you want your question absolutely answered, no matter what, then send a super chat, and I'll see it immediately, and I'll answer those, and I'll try to answer anything else I can as well that I see coming in. Just hard whenever we've got almost 1,300 people in here to kind of keep up with the chat. But let's start talking the Southeast now. Let me know. Go ahead and type in the chat if you're watching from North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, Georgia, even Alabama, Mississippi, any of these states. Heck, even Florida, not going to get winter weather, but at least going to get some snow. Type in the chat if you're watching from there, and we'll go ahead and give you the latest information on this storm, as we've got some of that new model data in. Yeah, all sorts of comments coming in. We got Waxhaw, we've got Troutman, North Carolina, got some people from Virginia, David watching from Myrtle Beach, Greenville, South Carolina, Davidson County, North Carolina, Southeast Virginia, Rock Hill, South Carolina. Got some Charlotte folks. Again, I'm recording from Charlotte right now, so, fellow Charlottonian here. Some Gastonias in here, Greensboro, got Nashville in here, Rockingham. Yeah, a lot of cities, a lot of places people are watching from, so definitely good to see that we are definitely getting the word out to folks tonight that we've got a winter storm on the way. All right, let's go ahead and time it out, folks. Let's start with the latest NAM model. NAM model came in this afternoon, pretty bullish on snow and ice storm in North Carolina and Virginia, showing higher in totals than it did on the morning run. And I think it could definitely be onto something here with that forecast. So we'll time it out for you. We'll start tomorrow evening. So here we go. This is right around what we call 6Z in meteorology, aka 1 a.m. If you look right above my head, trust me, I know the font is small. It says 1 a.m. Feb 19. Guess what time that is? That's 1 o'clock in the morning on February 19th. So it's got it right there for you. You can see it there. I'll try to verbalize it as well for anybody who might struggle kind of seeing it, but it's right there above my head, so you can find it for sure. So this time, the storm's still over Arkansas, back into western Tennessee, southern Missouri here, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, probably going to get a little bit of snow. Kentucky starting to get in on the action here as we flip the calendar from Tuesday into Wednesday early morning, and the storm continues here into Nashville. I think Nashville going to get a pretty good little snow event, what I would call a light to moderate event in Nashville. Probably not a major winter storm by any means, but definitely one kind of worth noting and worth taking precautions on. By the way, let me know, folks, where you're watching from, if the roads are kind of brined or salted or whatever you want to call it. Here in Charlotte, saw the kind of treatment crews out there in at least the University City area where I'm recording from. Was able to see some of those roads getting treated. So definitely would love to hear if you're getting that there as well. Seth D says with a $5 super chat, hey man, you're my go-to for weather. How about Clemens, North Carolina and Hickory, North Carolina? Thank you. Well, let's talk about it. In fact, let's kind of move ahead a little bit in time. You can see the snow beginning into Nashville, Kentucky, and we'll get to Hickory and Clemens. I'll mention those towns verbally here since you put in the super chat here in just a moment when we get there. Also, 1,400 people in here. Way to go, folks. Y'all are really smashing the like button and getting people in here. So love to see it. Appreciate it. Also appreciate the $10 super chat from Milton Nelson. Means a lot. Thank you so much. Go ahead and try to star some of these as well, or give the big like. Got a member in here, Lab Mama. Thank you, by the way, for becoming a member, Lab Mama. Appreciate that. Thank you for the awesome weather update, you say. And by the way, if you want to become a member, you can hit the join button next to the channel, subscribe button to be featured. You can see all these fancy little names next to my name. These are some of our tier 2 and 3 members, the upper level club, and kind of right in that range. So if you want to become one of those folks, definitely consider doing so. But appreciate that super chat. Appreciate y'all tuning in. All right, so keeping it going here, Wednesday morning, snow in Nashville. Tough forecast for northern Mississippi and Alabama. Some of the models show kind of an icy, snowy mess. Other models, not so much, but you can kind of see it beginning here right around the time you're waking up. So I would expect school closures, school delays through really much of Tennessee, even up into the Huntsville area, back out towards northern Mississippi could see some of those concerns. Birmingham, Jackson, Atlanta, I think mostly an all-rain event for you. I wouldn't expect too many closures. If you've got a flight out of one of those cities, I think you'll be okay come Wednesday morning. And we had a question about Hickory and kind of that area of North Carolina. Let's see what the other town name was again. Let me go back up here and find it. It was Clemens, North Carolina and Hickory, North Carolina. So right here in that area, you can definitely see the storm beginning. Now, this is Wednesday morning around 11 a.m., on the latest NAM model. So all the models basically have been showing this. If you're watching in the Carolinas, the Western Carolinas specifically, notice right into here. See this kind of dry slot? Yeah, it's a dreaded dry slot. And the reason it's happening is a little bit to do with the geography of the Carolinas and mostly to do with the way the upper levels are behaving here. It's another reason why you see on the NAM model, see how the storm looks pretty beefed up back towards Arkansas and Missouri and Kentucky, and then kind of fizzles out a little bit. Well, what's happening is we've got some upper level convergence moving in. So imagine above your head, you've got the wind running into each other here. So I'll kind of verbalize. I always use my hands. It's just what I like to do. I'll verbalize it here. The wind's hitting each other. So what it ends up doing is it's sinking as it does that. That sinking motion is no bueno whenever it comes to precipitation or snowfall. So it's kind of choking out the storm. A lot of TV mets just say dry air is moving in. Also that, definitely, but more so it's the upper level sinking motion that's adiabatically drawing the atmosphere that is kind of causing this. That's the first problem. The second problem is the mountains are kind of eating up whatever moisture's left. So Asheville, Boone, back out towards Knoxville, trying to get some of that snow in there, and you can see it here. And because of that, the upstate and kind of the Charlotte area, Hickory, Shelby, areas in that region on this model run start dry. Now, there's good news though, and I'll kind of move it ahead here and you'll see what happens. The energy transfer that's happening from that convergence is actually also leading to the opposite divergence, or kind of air separating above us and a ton of air rising because of it. Right off the coast here, also what we call baroclinic instability. That's a fancy word for saying low pressure likes to form here along the Carolina coast. You've got the, generally speaking, warmer ocean temperatures. Granted, it's February, so they're colder than normal, but you got the warmer Gulf Stream, and then you've got this cold Arctic air mass. That creates a very tight pressure gradient, and that lift above it from the divergence, that can slow pressure spinning pretty quickly. And that's exactly what the NAM does here, and really all of our models begin to do. Notice it spin up this area of low pressure, and you get a big boost in precipitation, and that starts throwing that moisture back into the Carolinas. So even, again, that super chat we had from Hickory and that kind of area, you start kind of dry, and you're thinking, where's my storm? And then the snow starts to move in. So it's a very complicated forecast, folks. A lot of upper level pieces and lower level pieces working against each other and in tandem at the same time to try to get a big storm going, but also fighting each other in a way. All right, so Mara Lewis had a $3 super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And then Patricia became a member. So welcome to the Scud Spotter Club. I'll go ahead and give you a little story on why it's called the Scud Spotter Club. For my longtime viewers, you will know what that means. If you don't know what Scud is kind of clouds that look scary, but they're not. It's clouds that look like they want to produce a tornado, but they don't. And anyway, it's kind of a running joke for me on Twitter when I storm chase that I just see Scud and I don't see tornadoes. And even whenever I do see tornadoes, people say, oh, it's Scud. even though it's a tornado. So I call myself a scud spotter sometimes. I'm just going out to chase scud, not even tornadoes. So that's the kind of fun inside joke behind that name. But I appreciate you joining. That means a lot, Patricia. And then you even left a comment as well. Looks like definitely going to be watching your channel from Costa Rica. You do a fantastic job. Well, thank you, Patricia. Come hurricane season, you'll definitely want to be tuning in from Costa Rica. We do a lot of stuff on the channel with hurricanes. And for anyone else who, is going to want to be here for that as well, looking quite active come that time. All right, so again, we've kind of got a pause here on the NAM. This is Wednesday evening. So obviously, if this were to happen, folks, kind of a rush hour travel nightmare through portions of the Carolinas with a look like this. You can see all that heavy snow in the blue. You've got the ice in the pink and the purple. Just an absolute mess in really much of the Carolinas I-85 north. Now, two components here to notice. Obviously, you've got the snowy side, even up into Virginia. Not forgetting my folks in Virginia, Virginia Beach, Danville, Richmond. Kind of that area, it looks quite snowy on some of these models. In fact, I think we could get some pretty big totals in there, but don't just sleep on this ice threat. Back out towards kind of Greenville, North Carolina, Fayetteville, maybe as far south as Jacksonville, North Carolina, and Wilmington. Ice storm could be a concern. In fact, come tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised to see ice storm warnings issued for some folks in that region. Would definitely be something that would not surprise me. So again, if we looked back at the map, if you were here earlier, we've got winter storm watches for much of the eastern Carolinas, likely going to see upgrades to winter storm warnings, and ice storm warnings come tomorrow afternoon. Super chat from Chiefs here says, some weather apps and local news are saying 11 inches for Osceola, Oklahoma. I don't know what weather models they use, but you see that happening. Do I see that happening? Well, let me find out exactly where in Oklahoma that is, and I'll give you a better answer on my forecast for that area. And by the way, I appreciate the super chat. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied here. All right, let me go to Google Maps here on my other tab I've got pulled up. It would help if I spelled it right, wouldn't it? All right, let's see. Sorry, this is taking so long, folks. I'm not very good at spelling, evidently. And that's why I do the weather. That's why I'm a scientist and not an English major. All right, so for anyone wondering where that is up near Tulsa and near Broken Arrow. By the way, Broken Arrow, well-known high school marching band out that way. I would know as somebody who was in marching band in high school. Broken Arrow High School, pretty incredible band. So that's an area north of Tulsa. I definitely think you could get half a foot at least. Now, double digits might be a little tough. But I think half a foot to 8 inches will probably be my forecast in that area. But good question. Appreciate the super chat. Yeah, all sorts of questions filtered in here, folks. So again, I'll try to answer everything kind of indirectly by just talking. But like I said, we're going to pick up where we left off. This is Wednesday evening on the NAM. So let me back it up again a little bit. This is Wednesday afternoon around 12. You're probably thinking in the Carolinas, where is my winter storm? Is it coming? Is it not coming? Notice what happens. Again, we get that transfer of energy to the coast. Coastal low pressure beefs up and the storm beefs up. So I can guarantee you right now, I'm going to open Twitter Wednesday morning. By the way, if you want to follow me on Twitter, link in the description of this video. I'm very active on there. I post a lot of weather content, storm chasing stuff. So definitely check it out. But I can guarantee you, I'm going to wake up Wednesday morning, or I'm going to post my Wednesday morning video, and I'm going to get a comment saying, this is a bust, it's not happening, where's the storm, so on and so forth. It's going to start a little slow. You got to give it a little bit of time, folks. I know it's annoying to hear, but give it just a little bit of time, and then you can see it beef up here, especially areas like Raleigh, Greensboro, southeastern Virginia, anywhere east of I-77, and especially along the I-95 corridor, I think is going to hit the hardest out of this one, and you can see why on the NAM. Now, areas like Charlotte even trying to get in on some snow at this point. You can see it build back into the upstate, and this is when things get interesting, folks. I'll pause it here. This is about 8 p.m. on Wednesday evening. Low pressure really beginning to develop. In fact, check out the squall line associated with it. A pretty feisty little low here, throwing all that preset back. Tries to get almost a bit of a deformation band going. That's an area of heavy snow and gusty winds, especially folks kind of along the Virginia, North Carolina line, kind of on the eastern half of these states. These are heavy snowfall rates. And if we want to do some nitty-gritty meteorology here, let's take a sounding kind of right here into that region and give you an idea of what it looks like. And I know this is kind of a messy looking map. I'll try to explain it right here. This is our dendritic growth zone. That's where snow forms. And basically, what you're seeing here is it's very saturated, meaning our dew point line and our temperature line are touching each other. So we're getting a very efficient snowfall making process, and our omega value right around -2. That's indicative of a heavy band of snow producing strong, or not strong, but heavy snowfall rates. And I think that's going to set up shop. We're talking snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches an hour. And kind of watch what happens. It starts right here, let's say 4 or 5 p.m., and that band of heavy snow kind of parks over some of the same areas for a couple hours. So you get a couple hours of 1 to 2 inch totals. You're talking half a foot to nearly a foot of snow. So obviously, you put all the math together. You don't need to be a calculus major or a math major to realize we could get some good snowfall totals. Now, where we're not going to have as good a lift, but could still see some good snow, I think, back down towards Charlotte. You see on this model run, again, really beefing up back into the Charlotte area that tries to get snow as far south as Rock Hill, Chester County, South Carolina. Still raging ice storm back along the I-95 into the sound there into eastern North Carolina. I think all rain on the Outer Banks themselves. Kitty Hawk, I think this will be more of a rain event. You don't have to go very far inland, though, for it to change over to some winter weather. And just a nice band of snow on the back end of this thing. And then you can see it kind of cranks up and pulls away. And then this is by overnight Wednesday into Thursday. A whole nother kind of part of the forecast comes into play that we'll need to watch for. So I think we had a super chat, or maybe a couple here. Desert Vet says, I'm smack dab in the middle of North Carolina, Lexington, snow. So if you're right smack dab in the middle of North Carolina, in Lexington, North Carolina, you'd think I would know where Lexington, North Carolina is as someone who lives here and drives all over the state all the time. Let's get an exact map check on Lexington here. All right, so Lexington, kind of between Charlotte and Greensboro along I-85. This model shows pretty good snow. But I will add, that's an area that it's a tough forecast, because a couple runs ago, the model didn't have this band as juiced up. Now it's a little more juicy. If the trends continue tomorrow, I think Lexington, North Carolina, a couple of inches of snow. Probably right now, I'd say 1 to 3 inches in that region. Could trend higher. Could also trend lower. I always have to mention that as well, especially after I've gotten plenty of comments from the Northeast the past couple of days. Trust me, I hear you loud and clear. Any snow for Woodbridge, Virginia, Northern Virginia? Xavier Anderson asks. Well, let's check that area as well. Woodbridge, Virginia. Fun name for a town, Woodbridge. All right. From what I can see, this looks to be pretty far north. So Woodbridge up into the DC area. So if we go back here and we take a look at it, the NAM model tries. Let me click the right map. So we've got it going here. It gets close. Again, it's such a tough forecast where you're on the edge here. If you're in, again, eastern North Carolina, I can guarantee you're going to get a pretty strong winter storm out of this one. If you're anywhere where I'm about to circle on the map, it's where the storm is a lot tougher of a forecast in this circle right here. How far back does the precip get thrown? The NAM from this afternoon does get snow into Woodbridge. That's just south of DC. Wouldn't be a big storm, probably a couple of inches, but would nonetheless definitely be something that you would probably see some snow falling out of. A couple new members here. We've got Joseph Wilson, a new member. Welcome. Appreciate it, Joseph. And then Gary Linker as well. Welcome to the Scud Spotter Club. Appreciate it, y'all. Welcome. I got so many comments loading at once. It's like my PC freezes for a second and then it all kind of loads at once. So I need to switch to my secondary laptop over here. Might see it show up a little bit easier. I got a couple questions about Raleigh here. Raleigh, another area I think that's going to get it pretty good out of this storm. Now, the tougher forecast problem for Raleigh is the rain snow line. I think you'll have enough precip. This map here, you can see it kind of starts as heavy snow in Raleigh, and then here comes the sleet, freezing rain line, starts to get kind of north in here. And generally speaking, the warm nose overperforms. Now, this is the NAM model, and I'll be honest, the NAM has nailed just about every winter storm so far this season in the Carolinas, at least in terms of warm air advection in the mid-levels. And it gets it close to Raleigh. It keeps it mainly snow, but a little bit of sleet probably would mix in. I would like to think that you could at least stay away from the freezing rain in Raleigh. Hopefully it's an all-snow event. You get a nice winter storm. But I will add this. If we kind of look at the map, you see here in the pink, that's sleet, or excuse me, the purple, that's sleet, the pink, freezing rain, the blue, snow. Wherever those meet and you're on the blue side, you're going to get the most snow out of this event. And whoever that is, mark my words, is going to get half a foot to a foot of snow. Someone in northeast North Carolina, southeast Virginia, is going to get half a foot to a foot of snow, maybe double digits, that 10, 11, 12-inch range. Would not surprise me. It's going to happen right along that fine line where 10 miles to your south, there's a couple inches of sleet. 20 miles to your south, there's a quarter of an inch, half an inch of freezing rain, but your house has 8 inches of snow. It's going to happen somewhere. I'll tell you right now, and every winter storm in the Carolinas has a surprise up its sleeve. The fun part is figuring out what is that surprise. If we go back a couple of weeks ago, or I guess about a month ago now, y'all remember Atlanta back in early January, that big winter storm that moved through the south, the one before the Gulf Coast storm. Atlanta was forecasted an inch or two of snow because they were supposed to be on that icy side. They were a little bit colder. They got half a foot of snow. That was the surprise from that storm. We go back to the Gulf Coast storm. The surprise from that one was the Florida Panhandle. A couple inches was forecasted. Got 8 inches of snow in parts of the Panhandle because that ice line didn't move as far north as expected. It's going to happen for someone, I can guarantee you. In the Carolinas, specifically North Carolina, Virginia, it's a matter of who. Right now, if I had to guess, probably somewhere in this circle. I know it's a big area. In fact, you know what? Let me shift a little bit further north. I'd say somewhere in this circle. It's going to happen. Who gets it, though? That's the fun part of things. All right, got all sorts of things rolling in here in the chat. Let's see what we got. I think I might have missed one. Here, let me go back up a little bit. Yeah, okay, I think... All right, this is where we left off. All right, Marina says, some gas money for storm chasing or snacks to take with you. Will we just get ice in Mitten Hill, North Carolina? Just moved from upstate New York, and I'm definitely tired of snow. Well, I appreciate the money. I will definitely get some snacks. Probably some Waffle House. I love Waffle House when I'm storm chasing. That's my number one go-to for anyone wondering. Mitten Hill, that's in the Charlotte area. Yeah, Mitten Hill, if memory serves me right, I definitely should know this. I'm 90% sure Mitten Hill's on the south side of Charlotte. By the way, I grew up in South Carolina, so I've only been here in Charlotte for about 2 or 3 years now. So some of the towns I've got to remind myself. Yeah, Mitten Hill on the south side, specifically kind of back down towards Matthews. I thought so, down 485, not far from me. Yeah, I think Mitten Hill's one of those areas you're maybe going to start as some snow, then go to ice, and then into snow. You can see that process on the NAM here. It starts dry. Again, you're going to be thinking, where's the storm? And assuming things go to plan, I'll add again, just so I can say I said it, things will change again tomorrow. But I think we're trending back towards kind of what the NAM is showing here, is what my gut tells me. You can see starts as some snow in Mitten Hill, changes over to sleet, freezing rain, and then that cold air advection comes in at the end. And hopefully you get a nice couple of hours of, or at least an hour or two of some nice moderate snowfall on the back end of things. So I appreciate that. I'll give you a little heart on it. And yeah, just to kind of answer your question there. All right, Wesley White says, what's the chance for the storm hitting us in Ohio? Great question, Wesley. I did not talk about Ohio very much. So, you know what? Let me switch to this map really quickly because I probably do have some folks up that way that I did not mention. This is the same thing. This is the blend of models, Snowfall, and I'll move it ahead in time so we can also see this in the Carolinas. Ohio, southern Ohio has a chance. Cincinnati back down into... the Portsmouth area could get some snow. Also, I will add at the end of the storm, and I was going to talk about this next, some upper level energy moving through could bring some snow showers. But unfortunately, Wesley, if you're a big snow lover, gonna probably not be a big one in Ohio on this one. All right, keep on going here. SR says Scott and Adam, so I guess Scott and Adam is what the SR stands for. From Lumberton, again, you nailed it for us last snow event on this one. Any chance our ice changes to snow instead? Great question. We'll go back to the NAM here, and we'll kind of talk about that potential. I think kind of similar for you potentially here. I can find the right button to get my face on the right side of the screen. So definitely going to be bigger ice event in Lumberton. Not expecting a big snow, but notice it starts as ice. And then on the tail end, a little bit of cold air tries to catch up and change it to snow. But unfortunately, Lumberton, really going to be more of an ice event. I would not expect big snow totals. Ice, though, a quarter of an inch to a half an inch would not be surprising. And then maybe a quick burst of snow at the end. But going to be more of an ice event. So sorry to be the one to bring you the bad news, but not gonna lie to you, just to give you what you might want. $10 super chat from Green. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, keep on scrolling here. Redneck on Road Trips with Super Chat. I like that name. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, let's see if I'm caught up. Again, it's loading quick here. A lot of things popping up at once. All right, maybe I might have to switch to this one for a little bit because that one's getting a little slow on me. y'all are spamming the chat so much, but keep on doing it. All right, think I'm caught up. So anyone just joining us, let me know where you're watching from. Let's do another round of where you're watching from in the chat. Go ahead, hit the like button if you haven't already, and go ahead and subscribe. Knocking on the doorstep, getting close to 40,000. Hoping we get there. I will also mention again, you can follow me on Twitter and X, folks. I'm very active on there and kind of pretty good at keeping folks up to date on the changing weather models and things like that over there. So follow me on X, GMingle. You can just look that up and I will pop up pretty quickly. Also, link is in the description of this video. And tag me in your photos and videos on there as well, and I'll retweet you. I'll get the word out. I'll show everybody. Also love to do that. So. All right, looks like some of y'all have already followed me on there. So awesome. Definitely keep it coming. All right, so another thing I wanted to talk about here is some of that potential for back-end energy on the storm, bringing some surprise snow. So that's another kind of wrinkle in the forecast here, is that surprise snow potential. Also, thank you, Jazz, for becoming a member. Welcome to the Upper Level Club. So Jazz gets their name added onto the list, everybody. So the list starting to fill out a little bit. Probably have to add another column. But again, tier 2 and 3 members get on the list. So if you want to join the Upper Level Club or the GM Fanatic Club, you will have your name added to the list here during any type of event I do. So I appreciate that. Also had another question, super chat, I believe. Ooh, sorry. I blocked somebody by accident. Almost hit the wrong button. Let's see if I can find it over here. David Matthews says, greetings from up the road in Lexington. The name appears a lot stronger than GFS and Euro. Thoughts on which has the better handle on this thing and why? So David, the way the winter has gone so far around here is a last second beef up in these storms. And I think that's what the NAM's picking up on. If y'all remember January 20, whatever, it was the big crazy Gulf snow. It's been a mirage at this point, so it's hard to remember. That one, right around this time, the models were dead on the storm. It had not really much for the Carolinas. And then what happened is right around this time, 36 hours, 24 hours before start time, the models started beefing back up, and we got a solution that was pretty big. We had 6 inches of snow down in Horry County, South Carolina, where I was snow chasing it. We had pretty good snow in Raleigh, I think 2 or 3 inches. The Outer Banks got crushed. Charleston got crushed. And that's generally the theme. What happens is it's the windshield wiper effect. You hear it all the time. A couple days ago, we had a massive storm on the models. Then it died out a little bit the past couple of days. Now, I think, and we'll see if the trends continue, but my gut tells me that we're trending back the right direction for someone to get a good little snow event. And we're about to look at maps on snowfall totals. So stay tuned, folks. We're about to get there, I promise. That's when things are really going to get fun. So I think the mesoscale models are probably having a better handle, on this right now. And I'll show you also why potentially in the upper levels here in just a moment. Don Baker with Super Chat, North Topsail Beach, snow or ice? Probably anywhere that way, going to be more ice into the beaches, Don. So good question. I appreciate it. All right, I think I'm caught up there on Super Chats. All right, so I did want to talk about this kind of back-end, upper-level energy snow potential. Here's the RGEM model. This is kind of the mesoscale Canadian, if you will. Shows the storm pretty similar to the NAM. It starts with that dry slot in between. We've got some snow in the mountains, got some snow in the east, then fills in, and everyone tries to get in on at least light snow from Charlotte back down towards Pickens County, northern Spartanburg, Greenville County, Cherokee County. That's another area, just a tough forecast. If you're watching in upstate South Carolina, go easy on your local Mets. I know Chris Justice, the big meteorologist in the upstate, tell him I sent you and tell him I said best of luck, Chris, because not an easy forecast that way at all. It really isn't. So definitely go easy on those folks in the upstate. Going to be a tough one. Could be basically absolutely nothing, or could be a couple of inches of snow. And anyone who grew up in the South knows that that's the difference between kind of tomatoes thrown at you and flowers thrown at you. So we'll see which one it is. But this model is showing at least a little bit of snow there. Same idea, though, with the big snow potential in southeastern Virginia, northeastern North Carolina. You see those heavier returns? Let's do the same thing where we take I guess we can't take a sounding on this one. We'll take a sounding on another model here in a second. But shows that heavier snow potential right along the freezing rain and sleet lines. I said it earlier. I'll say it again. What a gradient, and again, what a tough forecast. Somewhere in here, it's going to be 8 inches on one side of the gradient of snow, and then half an inch of ice on the other side. So it's a tough forecast for sure. Now, keep on moving ahead on this model. You can see storm progresses pretty similarly. That's a couple of hours of heavy snow, though, folks. Back up towards kind of Plymouth, North Carolina, Elizabeth City. This model loves Elizabeth City, southeastern Virginia, Virginia Beach getting good snow. And then notice what happens. We get a lull overnight Wednesday. Then Thursday morning, check out this little piece of energy trying to make it over the apps and some more light snow showers. This time in Charlotte, Greensboro, up into Virginia, maybe as far south as Columbia. Could try to squeak out a quick snowflake out of that one, and a good little northwest flow event. And that's something to watch in the models. And I want to talk a little bit on why that is. And also we can briefly mention the Northeast here, and then we'll get into snowfall totals next. So before I do that though, let me, had a couple more super chats, I believe, to answer. If it will load. Come on, you can do it, computer, I promise. I'll do it on this one. I think I'll do it on this one. Okay, well. Okay, that's all right. The page crashed on me. It said, you've got too many viewers, Gerald. Something's not right. All right, let's try to reload it, and I'll get back to these super chats and answering them. All right, there we go. We're back. Okay. Let's see where we left off. Left off there. Okay, sorry, we're back. I was catching back up. So Desert Vert says, will you be live Wednesday? Plan right now is this. Live right now, obviously. Morning video tomorrow. Evening live tomorrow. Everyone go tell Mitch West Weather. Call him, text him, spam him on Twitter. Go find his YouTube. Tell him I said he needs to join me tomorrow night. We need to tag team this thing and go live together. That was a blast when we did it last time. Would love to do it with him again. So plan on going live tomorrow night as well after a dynamics exam. If you don't know what dynamics is, dynamic meteorology is what you're seeing on the map next to me. A whole lot of crazy math equations. So wish me luck on that one. Wish Rowan luck as well, because he's got to take it with me. So, we'll have fun doing that. And then Wednesday, have a morning video, and then hypothetically, maybe storm chasing this thing or snow chasing it. And if that's the case, I will absolutely go live in the conditions and give y'all up to date on the ground reports. All right, Ryan Hunt says, hey, from Midlothian, Virginia. Hopefully I said that right. About 10 miles southwest of Richmond. We were hearing 2 feet at one point a couple days ago. You think this is still possible for us? Probably not 2 feet, Ryan, but somewhere in there's going to get half a foot to a foot. So 2 feet's not going to happen, unfortunately, I don't think with this one, but still a moderate winter storm, half a foot to a foot. So good question. I appreciate that. I think we had another Philip Martin says, Clayton, Georgia. Thanks, Gerald. You the man. I appreciate that, Philip. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you for the super chat. We will definitely get some Waffle House with that one. All right, so back caught up again here. Let's take a look at. Looks like I might have missed a super chat on Gatlinburg. Rowan has informed me. So everyone, by the way, if you're just joining us and you didn't know, Rowan's our moderator tonight. So say hello to Rowan and thank him for tuning in. Maybe I'll go buy Rowan some Waffle House too. Maybe we'll both get Waffle House. How about that, Rowan? All right, so Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and we'll get back to this map in just a second, but I guess I missed a super chat on Gatlinburg. There's a sneak peek at the snowfall forecast. Gatlinburg, I do think is going to get some winter weather out of this. Probably a 1-2 punch. You're going to get the first front end here. That's overnight Tuesday, early Wednesday morning. That could drop a good inch or two. And then after that, here's the upper level energy and that northwest flow on the backside. That again could boost some snow in Gatlinburg. So definitely snow in Gatlinburg. Maybe not a ton of it, but some snow nonetheless. So good question. Okay, so I want to show you this. This is why the storm is kind of complicated for folks and why we're going to get some dry slots and some diverging slots of a ton of snow and ice. Here is the upper level forecast. Now, this is classic 500 millibar vorticity map. And by the way, that's why our tier 2 is called the upper level club. Because, upper levels, right? And upper level works kind of in the same sense. So I don't know. I thought it was clever. Y'all can let me know. But here we go. You can see that big main piece of energy diving down. This is, let me back it up a little bit more to Wednesday morning, kind of as the storm is starting. Let's see if we can dissect some meteorology. So at this point, the main reason we're kind of lacking snow in the upstate is just good old-fashioned kind of topography hurting us. We've got all that winter weather hitting the mountains and getting dried up a little bit. And then what kind of hurts us even more is back here. This is where we're on the converging side of the trough. So I'll kind of circle the region here. All of this convergence moving towards the Carolinas, and that's what's going to kind of set up that sharp gradient where it's nothing in one area and then kind of snow to the right-hand side or the eastward side of that. We'll move it ahead here for you to kind of see that evolution. This is Wednesday afternoon. right here is kind of that line where on this side we've got the divergence, we've got the convergence trying to work in here at the same time. And then all of it kind of hitting the mountains as well, and the mountains per usual eating up some of that precipitation that we normally see. Now, another important thing here, this is Wednesday afternoon, evening. See this kind of little area of red? This is a lot of divergence aloft. Just in general, we were in kind of the diverging side of this trough in here. That is why the storm's going to crank up, and that's why eastern North Carolina is going to get a bigger storm probably than even western North Carolina. Same thing for southern and southeastern Virginia here. And even, maybe the PD of South Carolina getting a good little icing event out of it, not out of the question. Just a lot of lift in here. That's really getting the atmosphere juiced up. We get higher precip amounts because of that. And then after all that's said and done, the storm, again, tries to pull up the coast. I still do not rule out southern New Jersey, Long Island, and kind of coastal southern New England. I'm talking Nantucket for maybe some snow out of this. I don't think it'll be a lot, but here's the upper level energy swinging through, and as it's doing that, still kind of connecting with our coastal storm, and you could see a connection with a band of snow over the coastal northeast with this setup. Again, the models don't always tell the full story at the surface, so the upper level is just as important to look at there. And then you can kind of see also that upper level energy is what could produce that secondary area of snow Thursday morning. Here's that cold air with some lift, a nice little area of some divergence here through Virginia, back down into North Carolina, could lead to some snowfall. All right, next thing we'll talk about are snow totals. I know folks are kind of waiting on that, but I think we've got a couple super chats here I need to catch up on. All right, I did that one. All right, I think we're on this one. What's your honest opinion on Rocky Mount, North Carolina snowfall total? So I've been through Rocky Mount, actually storm chasing a couple times. You look at this map and you're a fan of this. This is the Canadian model. Canadian loves snow totals in Rocky Mount. Rocky Mount is, as much of a cop-out as this is kind of an impossible forecast. You're either going to get half a foot of snow or half an inch of ice, or kind of maybe an in-between of sleet and snow and ice all mixed together, and it's a couple of inches of a mess. Right now, I think you're probably more on the icy side than the snowy side, would be my honest forecast. But that's kind of what I got right now. So, all right, and I think there was another one that just popped up, if I'm not crazy. Yeah, okay. All right, James says, can the low off the coast still shift more north? Yeah, great question, James. So I know I said we're going to get to snowfall totals. I promise we are, folks. Let me show this map one more time because, one, there was a super chat, and two, I completely forgot to. Here's the latest NAM. I mean, again, it's got snow there into the Delmarva and southern Jersey. Now, this is the 12K. It normally overdoes it a little bit, but you still see that northern end, and also see how we've got snow back in Ohio. This is that connection of the energy between the upper level low and our surface low. And let's see if we can go back a couple runs on the NAM and see if it's any different. So the trend has been, actually from a couple runs ago, it's ticked back north a little bit. So you can see that kind of slight north tick. This was a couple runs ago. A newer run and a newer run. You can see, again, sorry about the flashing screen, but you can see that it's gotten a little bit better. Will it keep going that way? It's possible. Generally speaking, these things trend northwest in the last second. Again, I think it's going to do some a little bit. It's going to be enough for New York City, Philadelphia, Boston to get a big snowstorm. We would need a big shift. That's probably unlikely, or I will say it is unlikely, and just probably not going to happen. But I still think coastal Jersey, southern Delaware, down into the kind of Rappahannock River area, and into the Delmarva. In fact, already winter storm watches there, so even the NWS agrees. And then even potentially, you can see as that's not what I wanted, sorry. I just pulled up an ad by accident. If I move this ahead, you can see even tries to kind of skirt up through Nantucket, even Montauk getting a little bit of snow. So could definitely shift north a little bit. How much, though? I think there's a limited trend north that we could get from this point on. All right, so good question. Appreciate that, James. All right, so talking snowfall totals. Everyone, again, remind me where you're watching from. Go ahead and type it one more time. And if you haven't already liked the stream, do so I can kind of get an idea of where I need to talk about these snowfall totals exactly at in this region. But you can see this is the latest Canadian model. All right, let's put it on the GFS, Canadian, European, Icon, NAM 3K. So we'll park it on the NAM 3K for a second. And I'll give everyone a chance to type where you're watching from. Go ahead, like the stream. I'm going to take a sip of some liquid, some coffee and water. So. All right, so a lot of folks in the chat definitely. So sources are telling me we have a lot of people in the Raleigh area. So sorry, Mitch just texted me, so I guess y'all gave Mitch the message. um, yeah, a lot of folks in the Raleigh area, so we'll talk about Raleigh. A lot of Virginias in here, a couple South Carolinas sneaking in here as well. So let's talk about it. This is the latest NAM model. This is from this afternoon. This is what I just showed you, the kind of nice fun model run. And by the way, I think we might be getting close to a new high resolution rapid refresh run. So maybe we can do that live on stream and kind of break it down. We'll see how much longer we go here. But NAM shows the big snow potential in Southern Virginia and Northern North Carolina. Now, Raleigh is not just another tough forecast. In fact, you know what? Let's zoom it in even more. How about that? Let's go on a local scale. Got so many people in North Carolina and Virginia here. Let's really give y'all the best possible information we can, since y'all were nice enough to let me know in the chat that that's where you're watching from. Here it is. This is the NAM model. Shows 8 inches in Richmond, about 5 in Virginia Beach, 7 in Danville. And the notice out here, Greenville, Greensboro, and Raleigh through the triangle. Such a tough forecast. What's happening on the model here is you're right along that wintry mix line in here. So down here to the south where you're not seeing anything in Fayetteville and Greenville, you're thinking, okay, nothing. Well, actually, it's just ice is the bigger difference. Then you go up north towards Virginia, and you got half a foot to 10 inches of snow. So that's kind of the difference on the model here, and that's what makes it such a tough forecast. Charlotte, had people watching from Charlotte. The NAM, a lot more bullish on this back end snow, so it's giving you a couple of inches, 2 inches or so in uptown there. Probably higher totals back up towards Kannapolis, Concord, up 85 towards Greensboro. But I think this model does a great job of showing the difficulty of this forecast. Same thing for the upstate. Shows only half an inch in Greenville, but you go over towards kind of Rock Hill and you've got 2 inches. It's going to be a very sharp gradient on the southern side of this thing. That's the NAM model. Let's show you some global models. Here's the European, lower resolution, but notice how it's completely different. The NAM's got all the snow up in Virginia, northern North Carolina. The European from, let's see, this is the 18Z Euro, brand new, has snow in Raleigh, 3 inches, has 3 inches in Greenville, and then absolutely kind of just starts puking snow out here near Elizabeth City. So a different look on this model as well. So different things showing up here. UK Met model, very similar to the European. And this is the kind of bust scenario. I was telling you, Charlotte, Greenville, Greensboro, Raleigh, such a tough forecast. UK Met shows that dry slot never really filling in back here, and you don't get much of anything. So that's kind of the not so great model run, but we'll show you the GFS. GFS a lot closer to the NAM. In fact, right now, if I had to pick a model, funnily enough, I think the GFS might be the closest to reality. About 2 inches in Charlotte, 3 in Raleigh, 3 in Greensboro. Then you start going up towards Virginia Beach, and that band of just heavy snow that doesn't let go gets you nearly a foot right there in Virginia Beach. So the GFS, an absolute snow crusher there for southeastern Virginia on the latest model run. So everyone let me know in the chat, what model are you pulling for here? Do you team GFS, you team UK Met, team European? Again, this is the Euro. This is the GFS, UK Met, the NAM model, and then here's the Icon German model. So those are kind of the big ones right now. I'm curious, has so the high resolution rapid refresh, which is another mesoscale model, now running its long-term outlook. So maybe within the next 10, 20 minutes could have that out with kind of show what it's thinking on the storm and kind of how it's trending up or down. It's always the key at these moments is to kind of look at the trends more than anything else. So. All right, I also want to show you this. That's the snow. Let's take a look at the ice, and we'll zoom in as well on this one because this is going to be more of a North Carolina, kind of South Carolina problem anyway. It should get us everyone we need. All right. All right, so this is the same NAM model that shows all the snow. And again, right here is the corridor of doom for forecasters between Raleigh, Greenville, Greensboro. I know I've said it about 5 times. I'm going to say it again. Folks, just such a tough forecast. And, let me just circle it. I'll circle where I have the lowest confidence right now. And I know I'm about to draw a massive circle, and you're going to say, Gerald, this is a cop-out. It absolutely is. You're right. But right in here, this is the nightmare zone to forecast. And the funniest part is, it's also like I just circled the most populated part of the map. Just something about I-85 and winter storms in the Carolinas. They just love to make it a headache on forecasters. Somebody said, team, whatever will give my area snow. I'm with you. That's kind of how I feel too. But just such a tough forecast in that kind of blue circle I have on your map. The NAM model, though, showing big ice back down towards Fayetteville, kind of between Jacksonville, North Carolina, and then even back down towards Wilmington. Could sneak into the PD. Maybe Florence could get some ice out of this. Back out towards Wadesboro. Monroe could see some ice with this setup, I think. That's the NAM model. I'll show you. Let me do the GFS next. The GFS a little bit further north with its ice corridor from Greenville to Fayetteville, kind of back out towards Charlotte, and then the European model, kind of similar as well. So ice also a very big concern here with some of these models. Someone said, can you please talk about Baltimore, Maryland? So Baltimore, going to be on the northern edge of this storm. No ice in Baltimore. If anything, snow. I think at least a little bit. Maybe an inch or two in Baltimore would be my guess. Is there any chance it goes up the northeast at this point? Yeah, right now, if I had to put it in a percent chance, and actually, no, I'll do that next. I'm going to do some percentile forecasting for some of these big cities. I'd say right now we got about a 20% chance of more than 3 inches of snow along the I-95. I'm still giving it about a 50% chance of a good little winter storm in southern Jersey. And then basically a 90% chance if you're in the southern Delmarva, southern Delaware, back out into the Chesapeake, going to probably definitely get some good snow out of this one. Just a lot less likely into the northeast than it was a couple days ago, at least. If I kind of did the same thing, this kind of percentile forecasting, you know what, actually, let's do that. Let's pull up the actual percentile forecasting map. How about that? So this is the blend of models, the latest run. This is a great website to use. Let's do the probability map. You're going to see some things pop up here. This is, okay, so this map first up, this is the probability of just seeing it snow. All right, this is the probability of snow falling where you're at. We'll zoom into some cities and get it nice and local here for you. Greenville, South Carolina, about a 50% shot of it snowing. And I think that's about fair. It's kind of boom or bust there. You get up towards Charlotte, though. You've got about a 70 to 80% chance of seeing snow fall from the sky, especially up towards Concord, Mooresville. You start getting up towards Greensboro, we're running about a 93% chance of snow falling. Raleigh, about a 96% chance. Rocky Mount, about a 99% chance. We'll zoom out here. Basically all of southeastern Virginia, Virginia Beach, Newport News, back out towards Emporia, Roanoke Rapids, even Danville, basically running a 90 to 100% chance of seeing snow fall from the sky out of this storm. You go up here into the Chesapeake Bay, same story, down here into southern Maryland. Tougher forecast in D.C., about a 50-50 shot. You're on the northern edge here. Philadelphia, about a 40% chance of seeing snow. Southern Jersey, more like 70, 80% here along the shore. I guess 60, 70 more like. New York City running about a 40% chance. And then back out towards Nantucket, about a 60, 70% chance. More like 25 in Boston. And then Maine, kind of out of the storm on this one. So that's the chance of that. Now let's bump it up here. What is the chance of at least an inch of snow falling? Let me update the map for you. You're going to watch everything kind of shrink here. Chance of an inch of snow, very low in the upstate. North of I-85, Pickens pretty low. Clemson basically none. Greenville pretty low. You start getting towards Gaffney though, running about a 20% chance. 1 in 5 scenario shows an inch of snow. Charlotte, a tough city as well. You start going north towards Huntersville, Cornelius, Kannapolis, about a 40, 50% shot of an inch of snow. Uptown itself, about a 25% chance. Matthews, about a 25% chance. Rock Hill, about a 20%. Get up towards Greensboro, about a 70% chance of at least an inch of snow. Raleigh, Durham, back into the triangle, about an 80% chance of at least an inch of snow. Same thing for Rocky Mount. The biggest chance, though, for seeing at least an inch of snow down here, Newport News, Virginia Beach, Elizabeth City, Roanoke Rapids, Emporia. And again, this could shift. This is just right now. We're recording this or going live right now at, what day is it? Monday night. This is a Wednesday storm, so this will shift more, but at least right now, this is what the the odds are. Then we'll zoom out even more, give it a second to load here, hopefully for the Northeast, and kind of the same story here. Basically, all the same totals just bumped down about 10%. Now let's go kind of crazy. What about the chance of 3 inches of snow falling? South Carolina out of it for 3 inches. I'd be surprised if anyone in South Carolina sees 3 inches. Charlotte, you're starting to get out of it whenever it comes to 3 inches. I will tell you though, the latest NAM looks a little bit better for that possibility. So we're just looking at model guidance right now. I'm a believer. I would say Charlotte's got more of a 10% chance of 3 inches of snow compared to like the 1% this model goes. But you get the idea though, the same bullseye over Virginia Beach, same areas where we're running an 80 to 90% chance of at least 3 inches of snow here, about a 50% shot in Raleigh, about a 30, 40% chance in Greensboro, and then considerably lower up into the Northeast. Now let's bump it up all the way to half a foot. What are the chances you get half a foot of snow out of this storm? Basically confined here from Elizabeth City, Roanoke Rapids, Newport News, Virginia Beach. That area has that 50 to 60 to 70% chance of half a foot of snow. Like I said, it's going to happen somewhere. Where is the kind of the tougher forecast? And then basically a very low end chance that happens up the eastern seaboard. Let's go super, super crazy. What are the chances you get a foot of snow out of this event? Chances drop down significantly, but highest chance it happens over Virginia Beach with the latest model guidance. So hopefully everyone found some joy in that. I want to check to see the latest HRRR and see if that is up for us. Sorry, I'm trying to find my button here. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick. Let me look up to see if the latest high resolution rapid refresh model is come in for us or is still loading for the storm system. Yeah, still only about 15 hours out, so I'm not sure we're going to be able to get that data in before we end the stream. Let's see. Yeah, nothing right now. The HRRR's still loading, so it only goes out to like tomorrow morning. So got a ways to go before we get that data in. All right, so do we have any questions? Let's see if we've got some questions in the chat. I'll try my best to answer here. Let me go back to this. By the way, again, just want to say thank you to all the people who have become a member on the channel. I'll have to add some names to the list for tomorrow morning's video. And thanks to all of the super chats. It's been a very, very productive night, so we appreciate that. When are the next model runs? So the mesoscale models, the new NAM, the new high resolution rapid refresh, going to be running within the next hour or two. Unfortunately, I do have homework and some studying to do, so we're not going to be able to stay for the NAM. I'm going to try my best to stall long enough to get the HRRR in. If y'all keep asking questions and keep hitting the like button, then I'll kind of extend this out an extra 30 minutes to get to those, to get to that data. But this is a good question. Any chance for blizzard conditions in Norfolk, Virginia? So I don't think we're going to get blizzard warnings. It's possible, but I think someone's going to get blizzard-like conditions. One of the things about meteorology is there's a difference between criteria for something and the reality of what you're feeling on the ground. And I think someone's gonna feel like they're in a blizzard. You're gonna have whiteout conditions, blowing wind, blowing snow. I think that's definitely something that you're going to see somewhere in Southeast Virginia or Northeast North Carolina. Again, highest likelihood probably going to be in this. Well, let me pick a color you can see a little bit easier. Probably somewhere right into this bullseye. Going to get the worst of the snow and blizzard-like conditions. So that's a good question. Okay, this is another good question. How did models go from 20 inches to 0 inches in 2 days? Liz, I'm about to go on a soapbox here in a second, so give me 1 second to pull up a map here for y'all to explain this. Let me find a picture here I want to find. All right, let me pull this up. I'm doing a little behind the scenes website searching. So we get that off the screen. Okay, so this is why. Great question. Everyone always says, and I hear this all the time, that meteorologists have no idea what they're talking about and the computer models are terrible. Really what it comes back to, folks, is a data problem. Less than a computer computation problem. It just comes back to a data problem. If we knew every little thing about what Earth's atmosphere was doing at every moment in time, including we're talking how much water's in the soil, exact snow depths at every single centimeter of Earth, exact, what's happening at every part of the jet stream, we would nail these things a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks out, but we don't. You see all these dots? This is where we launch balloon sites, or where we where we launch balloons from at different NWS offices. And just think on an average day how different the weather can be from Greensboro to Columbia, just that area. But we don't have a balloon launch in Columbia. We have one in Greensboro. We have one in Charleston, one in Atlanta. So there's a whole area of missing data right here. Same thing out west. Look at Oregon. The entire half of Oregon here is missing data from the balloons. By the way, they only get launched twice a day in the first place. So it's really just a data problem. We only have so much, and the models really have to guess a lot of the times. And when the energy for these storms finally come over an area that can get sampled, then the models become better. But again, it's only getting sampled twice a day in only 2 places in a massive state. So it's really just a data issue more than anything else. That's what it comes back to. And that's why these models change so much. And kind of the hard part as a meteorologist is you have to be a meteorologist, not a modelologist. You can't just look at the model and say, well, it's going to exactly happen like this. And that's why we looked at the probabilities just now. And I've told you many times before, things are going to change more throughout the next day before we actually get to the storm. It's tough. And, I'll leave it at that. It's more of a lack of data than anything else. Are they calling for rain the day after snow in Virginia Beach? Pam, it's going to be pretty cold after the storm. So Arctic air mass moving in behind the storm. So that's another thing to mention. That brings up a good point. Going to be one of those storms that the cold and the snow are going to stick around for a little while. If you get 5-6 inches of snow, high temperature the next day might only be 30-35. It's not going to melt. And then I think we warm up by next week, but through this weekend stays below average. So refreeze problems will be a concern. Luckily, sun angle getting a little bit better now that we're towards the end of February, and that'll help melt some of it, but still a problem. All right, Ryan Hunt with a super chat. How much do you think rapid climate change affects model predictability? So obviously, Ryan, climate change is a touchy subject for a lot of folks. So to completely stay out of the politics of climate change, climate and weather are 2 separate things. So I'll leave it at that. I don't think it really affects the models. I don't think it affects the models. So I won't get fully in depth on climate change just to kind of to save everyone from that. But all right. Again, folks, you can follow me on Twitter, follow me on X, follow me on Facebook, all the social media platforms, and we can try to connect there. Also, go ahead and like the stream. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. We're about to hit 39,000 and 40,000 right along the way. And I'll be live more this week tracking the storm, so you'll want to be notified about when that happens. All right, let's see. Can the model shift south for Raleigh? It could. Raleigh's right on the line, folks. Raleigh's going to get big snow and or big ice. You're going to get big something. It could even be a little bit of both. All right, let's see. Is the high resolution rapid refresh any closer for us? Goes out about 20 hours. So still not there. We're up to Tuesday afternoon, folks. Keep asking questions. I'm trying to stall so we can get through this model, and then I'll let everyone go, and I'll go do some homework that I should definitely start. But we'll wait for this model to roll in. Nevada, Missouri snow totals. Wet Pickle asks. Oh, that's quite the username. Let me look up where Nevada, Missouri is. So many town names out in that area that are other states or town names. I don't know. It's kind of funny. Nevada, Missouri. All right, so for anyone wondering, including myself, Nevada, Missouri is out probably an hour or 2 south of Kansas City, it looks like. Probably about half a foot in Nevada, Missouri would be my guess. Right in that ballpark. Will Fredericksburg, Virginia see a good snowstorm? I think Fredericksburg will definitely get some snow in Virginia. Well, at least some snow. You're kind of far north from Fredericksburg. It probably won't be a good snowstorm, but you should at least see some flakes fly. Maybe a couple of inches could fall. Where is the storm shifting now? So today it's been the theme to kind of just shift it back inland a little bit. Not by a lot, but at least a little bit. So thank you, Matthew, for becoming a Scud Spotter. Welcome to the Scud Spotter Club. Appreciate it. Means the world to me. And yeah, get some of those fun emojis to use. So if any of my members want to try out one of those emojis, definitely do so. I'd love to. I've yet to see one in the chat, so I'd love to see what they look like. Do I think Greensboro, North Carolina has a chance of getting half a foot of snow? I would say that's the ceiling for Greensboro. Most likely, I would say 2 to 4 inches. Half a foot's the ceiling. The floor is very low, though, too. The floor is like a dusting to an inch. So it's a good question. What has been your favorite class so far in meteorology at UNC Charlotte? Probably synoptic meteorology. Lucky to have a very good professor that teaches that class. And as y'all folks know, and you probably have been able to tell from the channel, I like talking and I like maps. And that class is a lot of both of those things. And always, it really helps explain the behind the scenes stuff. So when I talk about divergence and convergence aloft and things like that, all that is synoptic meteorology. So love that class. I'm also in mesoscale right now, which I find very interesting. That's about thunderstorms. It's going to be, or it's a little bit of a tougher class than synoptic, I would say. But synoptic is the favorite one I've completed so far. Is there still a chance that these merge sooner and it comes up the coast? Small, but a chance, especially if you're right along the coast of the Northeast. Now, if you're further inland, we're going to need a miracle. But right along the coast, still a chance. Is Brad Panovich your teacher? LOL. Actually, Brad does teach a class. I'm not in that class, but Brad does teach a class here. So he could be my teacher if I take the class in the future. But also very lucky, any of you from the Charlotte area will probably know who Steve Udelson is. He does a lot of mentoring. In fact, I was just at WSOC Channel 9 in Charlotte over the weekend getting some work behind the green screen. So if anyone knows about WSOC or Steve Udelson, great folks over there who are very helpful to the university. So the Outer Banks of North Carolina was 1-3 today. Is it moving inland and leaving the Outer Banks alone? Depends where in the Outer Banks. The northern Outer Banks, closer to Virginia, is sitting prettier. So you see up here, right along the Virginia line, still shows snow. But yeah, back out down towards like Kitty Hawk, especially the southern Outer Banks. Yeah, I think mainly rain. I'll show you the European gets that a little bit better out here towards the Sound, towards Albemarle Sound. But still, the way out here, Outer Banks, yeah, probably not so much, I don't think. Spartanburg and surrounding areas. Spartanburg, tough forecast. Anyone in the upstate is a tough forecast. The floor is nothing. The ceiling is a couple inches of snow. So pick your, you're throwing, what are they called? Oh my gosh, dice. Like you're gambling, basically. Karen, Natural Bridge Station, Virginia here. Love your vids. My husband is a grad student at Virginia Tech and commutes. How do you think the 81 corridor will fare? Well, thank you for the super chat. We can take a look at the 81 corridor. This is Interstate 81, folks. This kind of blue line you see right in here. Looking at some of the models, Euro shows small totals, about 2 inches. GFS, higher end totals, especially down here towards Blacksburg. It's a little bit further down from Roanoke. Icon model shows some snow in there. NAM model shows some good snow. Just had a good snowstorm there in Blacksburg about a week ago, I think. Y'all had a good one. So this one could definitely add some to it. It won't have ice. Unlike last time, y'all had some ice. This time it would be all snow, but definitely a couple inches looks possible Wednesday. All right, sorry, I just flew through all the maps there. But thank you for the super chat. .540 line meaning please. So the 540 line, you probably hear that one thrown around a lot in the videos. So first of all, what does the number 540 mean? That's basically how thick the atmosphere is. So if I say we're in a 540 height, that means it's 540 decameters, or like 5.4 kilometers up to 500 millibars, I believe is the exact way that works. Either way, it basically just measures the depth of the atmosphere up to 500 millibars. Or up to a certain height. 540, that's basically the line where the atmosphere is cold enough, aka shallow enough. Remember, cold air is dense, it wants to come together, warm air expands. So if you hear like 580 line, that's warm air, that's more of a tropical air mass. 540, that's whenever you start getting cold enough that generally speaking, it's more likely snow would be falling than rain. So if you're north of the 540 line, or your number's smaller than 540, 536, 532, 528, you even get all the way down to the 400s during really cold Arctic air masses. That's when it's likely going to snow, but it's not perfect. There are times in the Carolinas where we're well above 540. We're in the 560s sometimes, and we still get snow or really ice because you've got a ton of warm air above you that's kind of skewing the column to be warmer, but at the surface you get cold air damming, and that leads to ice. So not a perfect tool, but we definitely use height thickness values to kind of forecast snow especially. Says our son will be attending the Citadel in the fall, so we will surely watch a hurricane forecast. Went to high school with a couple people that ended up going to the Citadel. So, awesome school. And yeah, definitely come around for hurricane season. I love keeping folks informed on hurricanes. I did a lot with Helene. Unfortunately, we all know Helene was a tough one. Right. Cedric Barclay says, how many inches will Huntsville, Alabama get? Let's go take a look at Huntsville. We haven't taken a look at Huntsville. Let's look at some model data for Huntsville. This is Mississippi and Alabama. I promise I know my states. The NAM shows 0.3 of an inch in Huntsville. The Icon shows 0.4 of an inch. The GFS shows 1.7 inches. The Europeans shows 0.2 of an inch. And the UK Met shows about 1/10. So most of them show some sort of snow in Huntsville. The GFS is the big one. That gets nearly an inch. So the GFS probably your boom scenario. Most snow would be around 2 inches. Most likely is a dusting to 1/2 inch. I think we maybe can get the NWS forecast over here. Let's see if we have their 48 snow. Yeah, so National Weather Service forecasting about 1/10 of an inch of snow in Huntsville there. So not a lot, but definitely could at least see some flakes fly. All right, let's get an update on that high resolution rapid refresh. How about it, folks? What we got going on over here? How much further? We're up to 28 hours out. Storm's coming. There it is. We're getting close. I know. I keep stalling. I keep sending the questions. We're getting close. It's almost here. I promise. And then we'll go, and me and Rowan we'll go solve math equations we don't want to solve. Check my phone. Make sure I don't have any notifications I'm missing. I will remind you now, again, if you haven't already, go ahead and like the video, subscribe, or I guess the stream could be a video if you're watching after the fact. Information still applies to you. And hit the bell for the latest notifications. Busy day tomorrow. Morning video, evening live stream. We'll do it all. Tomorrow will be a big day as well. Trying to get to 40,000 subs. Getting very close. So if you want to help us get there, definitely do all those things. And again, thank you to our channel members. We got some new names I'm going to add on the list. So if you join today and you're that kind of upper level club, I'll have it on there for tomorrow morning's video. So you'll get that shout out then, and for however long you stay a member. All right. Now what the heck was I doing? Yeah, there we go. When does it start snowing in Greensboro, North Carolina? Probably Wednesday afternoon. Could start as early as the morning, but probably Wednesday afternoon. Good night, Patricia. I appreciate you hanging in there. Thank you for becoming a member. Notifications, yes. Hit the bell for notifications, as we call it. Sam says, hi, Gerald, new subscriber here. You are such an awesome teacher and have a way to make weather seem a little easier to understand. Can you explain what a mesocyclone is? Well, I appreciate that, Sam. Thanks for subscribing. So a mesocyclone is just a rotating thunderstorm. It's that simple. It's kind of just an area rotating. In fact, you know what I can pull up on the fly here? I want to see some fun little YouTube tornado footage I took. How about that? I know we're talking about snow. This take 3 seconds, I promise. And who doesn't like a quick tornado footage? So let me pull it up really quickly. Promise. This won't take long. I can show you what a mesocyclone is. Actually, you know what? It'll be even easier if I do it this way. Aha, yes, of course. Well, yes, of course. Okay. All right, so this is actually, if you don't know, I sell photography prints. So if you're interested and you want any of these photos, link in the bio, shameless plug. I've got this stormy skies section. This is a mesocyclone. So this is a tornado I saw not long ago in, let me move it off to the side a little. Actually, you know what I'll do? Let me go this way. Yeah, so this is a mesocyclone I saw. This was in Marion, South Carolina. If you're from that area, an EF1 tornado struck not long ago. This was last May. And basically, what's happening is this entire thing is spinning. So this is a mesocyclone. This whole thing is spinning, and it was spinning enough and strong enough that you got this tornado to kind of drop down and hit the ground. So that is a mesocyclone. Again, if you're interested in any of these prints, you can check it out. Linked in the description under my link tree. If any of these fun pictures just happen to call your name, you can check them out. So yeah. Also, I do night sky stuff. So check out that. That's our Aurora from October and the one from May. So yeah, small shameless plug. But if you want one of my pictures hanging on your wall, you could do it. You can get it. Even got some other kind of fun fall things. I know it's kind of small to see, but you can definitely check it out. All right, high resolution rapid refresh. Where are you? What are you doing? Are you back? Are you here? It's getting so close, right? Getting so close. Discuss any evaporational cooling effects on the storm may have along the snow ice line. Yeah, so we can do that. While that model's loading, let's go back to the NAM. Sorry, reading something. All right, so this is the start of the storm. If we do a sounding over, so you see it kind of starts dry here. Let's do right over the heart of North Carolina. The temperature profile here is 32 degrees, but it's 20 at the surface. So what's happening is it is starting to snow above our heads. You can see the DGZ, or that dendritic growth zone I mentioned earlier. It's saturated. So snow is falling, but it's falling into this area of dry air from that Arctic air mass that's moving in. And what happens is as that falls, it begins to evaporate because the air is drier around it, and that cools the temperature. So if we then go a couple more hours out into time, notice it starts to fill in. We take a sounding over basically the same place. I can almost guarantee you it's going to be colder, and sure enough, it is down to 27 degrees. So that's evaporational cooling. It's not really going to help us change from rain to snow. It's just going to help nothing falling turn to snow. So that is a good question. That's a common thing that we see happen in the Carolinas. What do I think would be a boom scenario for Charlotte? Probably 4 inches of snow. 3 to 4 would be my high end ceiling. Right now, I'd be forecasting 1 to 2 in Charlotte. The floor is also very low, though. I think north of the city, the boom's more like 5 inches. A best case scenario could be about 5 inches of snow. How do you read a sounding analog? So I can very quickly give you the skinny on this. So it's kind of broken up into 2 parts. This side over here is what we call a skew T log P diagram, and then this part over here is what we call a hodograph. Hodograph tells us how wind is changing with height. We won't focus on that right now. It's more important for severe weather. But basically, the red line is the temperature line up in the atmosphere. So you can kind of see over here it says 3 kilometers, 6 kilometers, 9 kilometers, 12 kilometers. So that's going up with height. And the red line temperature, the green line dew point. So basically, it just tells you a change with temperature with height and dew point with height. And then this on the bottom is your temperature in degrees Celsius. So 0 degrees Celsius is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is our freezing line. And notice how both lines are on the left. That means the entire atmosphere is below freezing. So it's very important to use whenever forecasting ice, for example. Let's take a sounding over some of these icy areas. And you can kind of see how both of the lines, again, if I kind of draw it right, here's our freezing line in the atmosphere. Let me get the line right there. And notice how parts of it kind of stick out into the warmer side on the right-hand side. That's why this location is getting ice. This would be freezing rain. Basically, it's all snowflakes up here. It's all snowflakes. It's still all snowflakes. Well, technically not till down here where it's, in the DGZ. But then it hits this warmer area, and what is once snowflakes then becomes raindrops for a moment in time, and then refreezes back into either little sleet pellets or freezing rain on the ground. So very important tool when forecasting winter weather and severe weather. That shows us thunderstorm energy, what we call CAPE, convectively available potential energy. So really useful for all seasons, but good question. This is the NAM model I've got on right now, folks. This is the NAM for Wednesday afternoon. A couple people ask about Tennessee. I can show you Tennessee because I did kind of rob you folks just a little bit. I think I forgot to pull up the map for Tennessee. So let's do Kentucky and Tennessee at the same time. How about it? All right, latest NAM model. Here we go. Find your town, Cookeville, about 3 inches. Really from Jackson to Nashville to Cookeville, Clarksville, 1 to 3, 2 to 4 inch type snow event on the model. Big snow up from Paducah, Cape Girardeau, Carbondale on this model, nearly half a foot in those regions. The GFS, bigger on snow. It looks really good for Kentucky. And then the European, pretty good too, down to Cape Girardeau, Carbondale, Paducah. Looking at some pretty good totals in those regions. So that's kind of this area. Here's the UK Met. This is the icon. All right. So we're waiting on the HRRR still. Where are we? About 35 hours out. Let's do forecast loop. Regional. We're seeing all the behind the scenes pivotal weather shenanigans. 0Z, precip, type. By the way, again, just want to say thanks to everyone for tuning in tonight. It means a lot. Always fun whenever we have these bigger crowds. All right, here's the HRRR coming in. It looks pretty dry. This is Wednesday morning. So let's analyze it frame by frame. It's starting to get there. Then after this, we'll go, and I'll let everyone go to sleep, and I'll go do homework till midnight, and then wake up at 6 a.m. and do it all again. So that's the way it is for college kids. That's okay. Gastonia is west of Charlotte, so probably Gastonia will get less from what Charlotte gets. So if Charlotte gets an inch or two, Gastonia is not going to get much of anything. If Charlotte gets 2 to 4 inches, Gastonia might get 1 or 2. Yeah, you're not the only one that is jealous of other people getting snow, trust me. What model is best for predicting accumulation? There's no single model, like the NAM's not any better than the HRRR. They're all different every storm, but one thing that is important is the type of accumulation map you use. So snowfall is at different ratios. There's 10 to 1 is kind of the average. That means for every 1 inch of snow, 1 inch of rain generally means 10 inches of snowfall. But if you switch it to Kuchera, Kuchera kind of tries to take into effect if it's a wet snow or a dry snow and ground temperatures. So it's best to use that when looking at model snowfall accumulation. But the GFS isn't better than the Euro. The Canadian isn't better than the Icon. The Icon isn't better than the GFS. It's kind of just use the model of your choice and go from there. So, all right, high resolution rapid refresh coming in slowly but surely. This is Wednesday morning. Got some light snow in the upstate, still all dry in the Carolinas at that point. Look at that snow kind of moving out of Kentucky and Tennessee, drying up a little bit as it hits the mountains. That's the concern we've been running into, some of that drier air. Some of the upper level convergence. We'll see. The HRRR earlier looked drier than the NAM, so if it had any tick towards the direction of the NAM, I'll be able to compare it here in a second, and we'll see kind of how it ends the run. But only probably about 5 or 10 minutes away, folks, from getting the rest of this model in. Wyatt asking all sorts of questions about Blacksburg, so let's give Wyatt some love here. Wyatt, we'll go back. How about it? Let's do the same map for North Carolina and Virginia one more time. So Blacksburg down here, the NAM has a classic Blacksburg snow hole. The Icon has more snow, about 3 inches. GFS, about 3 inches. The European, about 2 inches. UK Met, about 2 inches. So 1 to 3 inches. How about that, Wyatt? Is that a good answer? Does that satisfy you? Hopefully it does. How much snow in Brasseltown, Georgia? Let's find out where in the world Brasseltown, Georgia even is. That'll answer your question. No offense to Brasseltown. I'm just not that well versed. Probably none, unfortunately. Probably none. Hate to don't want to give you bad news unless you didn't want the snow. Gary, channel member in the chat. Thank you, Gary, for chatting it up with us tonight. Appreciate it. What would be my guess for northern Tennessee? Probably 2 to 4 inches, especially the closer towards the west you are. The east, probably more 1 to 3. Out west, probably more 3 to 6. Possibility of schools closing in Greensboro. I would be shocked if we don't get some school closings. At least an early dismissal. The storm's running a little bit slower than it once was. I was like, yeah, here comes the HRRR. Starting to build it in. You can already see coastal lows starting to build up and crank. Greensboro might get away with class on Wednesday. It's trended slower, but I think by Wednesday night is when things are really going to start to go downhill, really late afternoon in some of those areas. So maybe early dismissal. They might just play it safe and cancel it in Greensboro. Jacksonville, North Carolina, probably an ice storm, John. Probably an ice storm. North Alabama, probably around a dusting. A boom scenario would be about 2 inches. Central Ohio, probably not going to see much snow. He'll get some upper level energy on the backside that works on through and tries to bring you some, but probably not a whole lot. Atlanta looks like all rain and not even that much of it. Here again, this model, looking at Atlanta right here. I mean, it's like an hour or two of some light showers. Again, that's kind of that upper level convergence and dry air. All right, so folks, her coming in, starting to look more like the NAM. Again, dry Wednesday morning. I guarantee you people are going to be saying Wednesday morning, where's the storm? It's a bust. It's not happening. And then that low pressure starts cranking at the coast, and look at this band of snow and ice setting up right through the triangle into Elizabeth City, back down towards Wadesboro. And the question will be, and this will be a big thing we got to look at tomorrow too in the models, is where does the band set up? You see it right here. Does it set up a little bit further inland? Does it kind of start back this way more? Does it start closer to the coast? We'll start to know who's going to get the big snow pretty quickly, I think, by Wednesday evening, based on where this band of kind of that warm air advection sets up, and warm air advection in the mid-levels that helps to create lift and create more snowfall. So. Yeah, it could definitely trend up overnight, folks. We'll see what tomorrow looks like. It'll be very fun in the morning when I record the video to wake up and grab a cup of coffee and look at the models and see what the trends did overnight. Somebody mentioned Knoxville getting bypassed. So there is an area right into here right now that still doesn't have any watches or warnings. They're probably just going to pull the trigger straight to winter weather advisories in here, meaning they're not quite confident enough for a winter storm watch, but I imagine by tomorrow evening or Wednesday morning, we'll get winter weather advisories issued for some snow, would be my guess. All right, here we go. Clicking one frame further on the HRRR. Starting to get more and more. 4 inches in Southwest Virginia. It depends where in Southwest Virginia you are. Again, we talked about Blacksburg, Roanoke, probably going to get some snow. 4 inches would be a bit much, I think, from what we're seeing right now in the data. Probably more of a 1 to 3 inch event. Where do you see yourself in a few years, local or national weather channel? Great question. So I graduate a year from now. A little more than that. Next May, really like next April, if you think about it. I walk across the stage in May, but if I have a job lined up, I'll probably know by a year from now. I don't know. It's a good question. I want to work somewhere that I'm wanted. I want to work somewhere that finds value in me. So I don't know what that'll look like. I don't know if that'll be at a local TV station. I don't know if that'll be storm chasing for some company. I don't know if that'll be doing YouTube the same way I am right now. We'll kind of see what happens over the next year. I will say I've got some summer plans lined up. I will be excited to share with y'all here soon enough. That is a little more professional career-wise news. So I'll hopefully share that with you all by next week. So stay tuned for that. But great question. I just don't know yet. Levi with the super chat says, hey, can you tell us how it's going to be for Johnson County, North Carolina? JoCo. Love JoCo. I've got 2 friends, both from Johnson County, and it's always a fight about JoCo and what part is better, and I don't even know. They're crazy meteorology majors. But JoCo, kind of near Raleigh, not super far from Raleigh, a pretty big county. Here's the HRRR rolling in. I think you're right along that dividing line where it could be snow or ice. And here we go, more frames of the HRRR rolling in. Ooh, there we go. Look at that snow starting to build back into Charlotte. Love to see it as someone who lives in Charlotte. This is a snowier look on this model than it was earlier, so that's good news for Charlotte snow lovers. But I mean, just check out that heavy snow in Southeast Virginia, Northeast North Carolina. JoCo right in that kind of icy mix range. So great question about JoCo. I think you're going to be right on that dividing line where you could be big snow or big ice. All right, got about 1, 2, 3. We have 4 more frames of the HRRR, and that's as far out as it goes. Tomorrow morning, we should get mostly fully in range. Have you tried to reach out to your local Mets to shout at them for a day? I've had a friend that has done it, and he said it was amazing. So, yeah, earlier I mentioned this. Steve Udelson, he's a retired chief meteorologist in Charlotte. He actually mentors us. I just shadowed him on Saturday with a couple other meteorology majors. Also, I've done some shadowing in Myrtle Beach at WMBF News. Jamie Arnold is the chief there. Anyone from that market probably knows Jamie. He's been super helpful and a super nice guy, and has helped me kind of kickstart my career a little bit. So, yeah, I've done some of that before. Yeah, date and time above my head is gone because I'm on a different map. So it's, I know it's more complicated. I got to find a way to get something going here. But Wednesday, 02/19/20Z, this is Wednesday afternoon, is what you're looking at right here. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, folks. So, yeah, this is the latest HRRR. It's looking a lot more like the NAM. This is good news for snow lovers in Southeast Virginia, Eastern North Carolina. Wednesday morning, I can guarantee you this is what radar is going to look like. And everyone's going to say, even early in the afternoon, where's my snow? The storm's over. And then watch that low level pressure start to drop and that mid level convergence really start cranking up that snow machine. That's good stuff, isn't it? We got heavy snow even back down towards Wadesboro, southeast side of Charlotte, seeing some snow back up towards Concord, Greensboro, Raleigh. Icy mix here towards Rocky Mount. Heavy snowfall totals, though, in some of these areas. I work at Reagan National. I'm on the snow team. Will the end of my week suck? Probably not at Reagan. You might get some light snow, but it's not going to be a big storm for DC. Yeah, so right here is where the low pressure is developing, folks, on the model. Here it is, and it's just cranking all this moisture back into North Carolina and Virginia. Really, again, someone's going to get very impressed with snowfall rates. I'm just telling you right now, it's going to happen. Somebody's going to get half a foot to a foot of snow in here. Thank you, Bella, for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. All right, folks. So again, we've got 2 more frames of the HRRR to come in. All right, we got 1 more now. So here's the evolution on this model, brand new, hot off the press, literally running right now. Yeah, see it start to beef up there in Eastern North Carolina. And this is again why it's such a tough forecast in the upstate and in the Charlotte area. You're right on the edge of this band. See how it kind of starts to taper off here. So Gastonia, not so much. The upstate, not so much. But Charlotte, I-77 points east, pretty big winter storm here. So that's the latest HRRR. All right, yeah, and someone's going to get real disappointed. That is also very important. Somebody's also going to get their feelings hurt from this storm. Happens every time. It's every snowstorm is what it is. All right, folks, I think that's all we got tonight. Went almost 2 hours. Thank you so much. We had almost 2,000 people in here at one point. That was crazy. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks to everyone that joined the membership. Again, if you haven't already, go ahead, please like the stream, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell for the latest notifications. Great way to stay up to date. And thank you to our channel members. You can hit the join button next to the subscribe button to become a member, and I'll have new names on the list after this. I'll put on there tomorrow. And yes, Gary, I will go study because I need to. Absolutely need to. All right, y'all have a great one. Everyone also say thanks to Rowan in the chat for moderating. Everyone say thanks to Rowan, and also say good luck, Rowan, on the exam tomorrow. He also has a physics exam, I think, this week. That's scary, right? So everyone say thanks, Rowan, and wishing him luck, and I guess myself luck on our exam tomorrow. And then he's doubling it up, doing a physics exam the next day. So you can rewatch the stream as well if you're just joining us. Plenty of information back in there for you to see, and hopefully get some good info out of. So y'all have a great one. Have a safe night. Stay warm, and I'll see y'all tomorrow morning with another update.